did you feel your guard was more, can you hear it? Do you feel your guard was more up or going through, did it disrupt any routines of trying to get tested and get that whole thing done?
I think I lost you and I could barely hear you, Malika. Sorry, but did you say was my routines disrupted with the travel and COVID and everything?
I was just saying, yeah, how did it go, the first road trip with the COVID protocols and all that?
Yeah, it went well. I mean, the weather, it was a weird trip because the weather pushed our flight back like 4 hours. The protocols are something we're gonna have to work through and get a rhythm for. So the routine is to be determined, I think, because we are facing, a totally different set of circumstances. People who went to the bubble, this is even new for them because now we're back out in the real world, traveling, exposed to potential, harmful scenarios. So the testing and all that and the protocols are what they are, and they're there for the right reasons. And we just have to learn to navigate and create a new routine. And like I've said from the start, be as fluid as possible because it's not going to be your normal or average NBA season as far as your routine. That's for sure.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Steve, have you settled yet on how you're going to use Karras and Spencer, and which one do you think will start tonight?
Spencer will start tonight. Still to be determined. There's so many variables this year that I'm not going to make like big proclamations or decisions just because we have so many variables going into it. But if both healthy, they'll both play a lot and both be prominent. And very, very lucky as a coach to have both those guys in my lineup.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Okay, following up on that, does DJ start again as he did the other day? And obviously there are no fans in the building, but do you get the impression that going back to Boston, there's a little extra something for Kyrie, or in an empty building will it not mean that much?
I think DJ will start again tonight. There's nothing really in it between DJ and Jay. They're both very good players, similar profile, and will both play a prominent role. As far as Kai, I just see Kai being Kai. I caught him in the gym at the hotel before we left. Came over to shoot early. He's in his routine as he always is, and he's happy-go-lucky right now. So he's in a great space, playing great in practice and in the game. So I don't see him really taking this anywhere other than just a regular exhibition game to get his legs ready for the regular season.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Steve, you've talked about, your thoughts on Karras and that Manu role, and with this being, and how you might not be able to experiment with that because of the way the season could go. Does tonight, in your evaluation thought process with that, weigh a little more than it might just being at your lone sample size, or is it still just one part of the whole picture?
Yeah, I mean, we're just not going to get a lot of sample size. It's going to be, I think a season in flux, and we have to embrace that and be adaptive. And it'd be great to see him out there tonight, period. He's been great in training camp. And so that he missed the first preseason game was kind of a disappointment, just in that we only have 2, but it was the right move and right precautions. And he's looked great, and so it'll be awesome to have him out there on the court. And we'll get a little look at him, how he feels off the bench, and perhaps that allows him to have the ball in his hands a little more. When he gets some minutes without Kevin and Kai on the floor. So we'll take a look and see how it goes. But I think it's probably just something that we just got to continue to develop chemistry with all sorts of different lineups and different combinations on the floor.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach, just looking right ahead to the matchup tonight, you're going up against a Celtics team that also has, hopes of making deep playoff runs and maybe even a championship appearance of their own. Can you just talk about how this game tonight, even though it's a preseason game, can kind of be like a litmus test to see where your team is at and where you kind of might need to make some adjustments moving forward?
But it is great for us to play a really good team. This is a contender, a team that's been deep in the playoffs, repeatedly. Great talent, great coaching, culture, and they have those common experiences. So, they're running this back for years, 3, 4, 5, basically. So it'll be a great challenge for us to see a team that's a little more formed, than we are. That's been there, done that has a little bit of common knowledge. So I think it's one, important that we get an exhibition game in here before we start on Tuesday, but two, it's great to play one of the other top teams in the East, a contender that we can really kind of measure where we're at in this moment in time.
Alex Schiffer.
Yes, Steve, just kind of a follow-up to my last one. You talked about the season in flux and trying to get as many possible as possible. Is it fair to say, just with the attrition and the unknown of what the season could be, that the idea of if it ain't broke, don't fix it might not apply this year, just because you don't know what could happen on any given night because of the virus and everything that comes with it?
That's a good way to put it. I mean, I think it's just important that we all have a really, fluid approach to this year. It's who knows what's out there, but what we do know is that we're, what's around the corner. But what we do know is we're in a pandemic. We have all sorts of testing protocols. We have we're going out into, hotels and traveling and different arenas. And so that adds a new element to it, that with certain protocols. Then you had a condensed schedule, a shortened training camp. So who knows what impact that has on the injuries. And so I think the team has to buy into playing the long game and to using our depth as a strength and also just our mentality to really look at the long term, the big picture, and be able to continually improve throughout the season, regardless of who's able to play night in and night out, or who's having a stretch of the season where they play and someone else doesn't. Then it gets reversed and someone else gets an opportunity. So I just think we all have to sacrifice to be able to handle what's going to be a unique season for everybody.
Last question for Coach Simone Sandri.
Hey, Steve, what is the most unexpected thing you've seen so far, or the thing that surprised you the most in your short life as an NBA coach?
It's a great question. I mean, I think from a coaching standpoint, it's more getting I guess up to speed or getting comfortable with the management side of just how many people and departments you're connecting with constantly and trying to make work. I mean, on the one hand, that relationship brings a ton of support and expertise and strength. On the other hand, getting used to, all the elements of the job, more so than just basketball games, that's probably been the breadth and the depth of all the things you have to do to prepare your team behind the scenes is an adaptation for me. So I'd say that was being probably the broadest answer, but also it's very, very truthful. That's been an eye opener and an adjustment for me, but I've enjoyed it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye, guys.